have a bottle of Savvy B here.
I mean, I've got a bottle of Smirnoff Ice, but I can't fucking open it, so it's a bit awkward. Oh, fuck me dead, mate. Oh, got it. I was about to be like, fuck me dead. I think I've just lost all my strength, but I got.
I'm a bit confused why there was lipstick on a glass in my house that was A, straight out of the dishwasher, and B, I don't wear lipstick, so
Spoiler alert, he does. He's just lying.
There, I think I just found my mystery for the episode.
There's someone living in your attic.
Which is impressive considering my attic is the apartment above me.
Oh, I totally thought you live in an apartment.
That I don't have access to. Also, I don't think attics are, like, super common here.
No, my bad, crawl space would probably be more accurate for Australia. Like, yeah. I have a crawl space. Well, you know what's even creepier? Is you access a crawl space from outside my house.
There could be someone living in your crawl space.
Possibly. Oh, well. I hope they like it up there.
You are listening to Rent Free in My Head, the podcast where we take the thoughts squatting in our heads and set them up with residence in yours, free of charge. I've forgotten how to do this. It's only been 2 weeks. Each week, well, whenever we get around to it, Kirsten tells me a true crime tale.
And then Jeremy traumatizes. Actually, that reminds me! A mutual friend of ours has been catching up on episodes, and he listened to the Black Eyed Kids episode, and he said that literally right after he listened to it, he saw some guy come in, not a child, but a guy come in that was like creepy as fuck and had like really dark eyes, and he was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. And I was like, you basically... we're about to die. And he's like, I know. Oh. Spicy.
I'm not gonna waste it.
Alright, cool. So Jeremy fucking sexualizes his wine bottle every week. And he also, like, tells me a mystery, but it's a wine bottle for me.
It's just the wine for me. So it's been a hot minute. That was an accident. We kept meaning to record, and then one thing after the other. Kirsten was red raw from the sun.
I forgot that was the original reason why we couldn't record. I was trying to think of it today, and it was me.
I was in a major depression spiral. I don't know, things just kept happening. We kept setting a day.
We were like, yeah, we're going to record on this day. And then the universe was like, are you? Are you really?
And then Sunday we were going to record a double, and I woke up with no voice, so that didn't happen. I'm sorry, this episode's also coming out late, because the plan was like, hey, let's record, be real, like, on point today. I'll immediately edit it real quick, publish it tonight. That it's too late at the night.
And that's
someone has great time management skills.
My fault, because I was at the beach, didn't realize the time, even though I posted onto time-specific apps.
With timestamps.
Yeah, I also got stuck in traffic on my way home, so...
But it's fine. The fact of the matter is, we are now in what is the busiest month of the year, or busiest time of the year, just socially, and the fact that we both work in retail in our, like, actual jobs. And
in our real lives.
Yeah.
We're retail workers, guys.
Behind the headphones. And then we've also just both hit quite a few obstacles, but there's things in motion, and soon we'll actually have a specific schedule, and we'll actually record on the same day every week, which will make things so much easier.
What?
But in the meantime...
Well, it's crazy.
in the meantime, we'll just be sporadic and you'll deal with it because, well,
Bitch,
we're
we told
us.
you to.
And, yeah, you love us, so...
Well,
You do love us, right? Like, please validate us and give us your love. So this will be interesting because if I remember correctly, you wrote your notes like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I literally did. I do not remember a single fucking thing about my case. So I'm gonna go on a journey with you.
I wrote mine 2 weeks ago for this, for this episode. Where it was supposed to happen.
Read it,
I
and
remember
I'm like,
what...
Spicy.
I remember what my case is and, what happens in it, but I don't really remember what I wrote, so...
I'm glad you remembered that,
also
because I didn't remember that. And then I was like, I opened up my fluffy koala book, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, did I write the ending? Wait, is there an ending? How does it end?
Oh, did mine have
I did write an ending. Don't worry, guys.
Mine have an ending. It's, well, I mean, it is a cliffhanger because it's a mystery, but it's not really a cliffhanger because I just didn't finish the notes because I've done that before.
Oh my god, fat mood, so have I. I one time forgot to write how the person was punished. And then I was like, oh, this is fucking awkward. Not me just casually opening Wikipedia in the background, yes, I use Wikipedia. Get the fuck over it, people. Who cares about that, though? Let's get crack-a-lacky. I don't actually think it's... Oh, actually, no. I was like, I don't think it's that bad, but then I just remembered a couple of things that happens. That's a little bit bad.
It's a crime, and it's you, so it's probably pretty bad. But it's okay, mine's not great. Mine's...
It happened, forever ago. So, I don't know if that makes it better, but,
Mine happened on... my dad's 21st birthday. Cute.
So we're going back in time this week. Which also means that the information is low-key kind of sketchy because I did have to use good old Wikipedia as my main source.
How far back in time?
Not super duper far. We're just going to the early 1900s.
Oh yeah, not far at all.
No, literally, low-key, really... It just depends on how you define old.
Within our lifetime, obviously.
I don't know about you, but I was not born when this fucker was born. My dad wasn't even born when this fucker was alive. We're going back to, well... Oh, and it's also not in Australia! That's another thing! It's an...
Thank fuck, I'm sick of this place.
Awkward. It's in England, so it's from our mother country, depending on how racist you want to be. So technically it begins in 1909 in Stamford. I can't fucking read apparently. In Stamford, Lincolnshire, England. Don't ask me where that is, because I don't remember. I wrote these notes 3 weeks ago.
It's in England.
I meant, what it's
England
now.
Is on that, island that's a little bit northwest of France.
That's the boot country, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's the boot country. The where they put pineapple on pizza and... They eat frozen lasagnas.
Yeah, that country. Yeah. John Haig was... I don't actually know how you pronounce his last name. It's Haigh, but I also don't really fucking care because he's the bad person, so... I'm going to pronounce it like Haig. I recognize that it ends in a H, but I just feel like that's how you pronounce it. Are you Googling it?
Yeah.
Of course you are. You can't just let me mispronounce things.
Because to me, I feel like it's hey. Hey.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
How you doing?
Yeah, it is hey.
Dang it. Yeah, whatever. Fine. John Hay. I've literally, the entire time I was writing these notes, I pronounced it Haig in my head, so I'm gonna fuck up. Shit. Okay, whatever. John Hay was born to John Robert Hay and his wife, Emily. I didn't get her full name because apparently she wasn't fucking important. Fuck the patriarchy.
She's a woman, so...
Okay, cool. Apparently they were, like, good churchy kids. You know, they were, peeps of the Plymouth Brethren.
You said Plymouth correctly this time.
Hey. Appears to have a pretty straightforward upbringing. You know, he didn't seem like he had a traumatizing upbringing. Not to say that if you have a traumatizing upbringing, you're going to turn out to be a fucking murderer who's like a shitty person. Because clearly, people that have nice upbringings can still be shitty people.
Everyone has trauma.
Yeah. Anyway, your mental health is your responsibility. Not your fault. Moving on. But apparently, because his mommy and daddy were, like, religious peeps, he had religious nightmares. Like, fair. I feel like if I grew up in a Jesus home, I would have religious nightmares. But that's just because I'm low-key really anti-Jesus. Don't care if you believe in it. You do you, besties. Anyway. So, like, Skelly. Despite having scary dreams... of religion and shit
Spooky
like that.
Mormon hell dreams?
It literally doesn't even explain, like, what they were. It literally just said religious nightmares. And I'm like, did he envision, like, Jesus coming and fucking raping him? Did he envision Jesus murdering him? Like, what do you mean by religious nightmares? I want descriptions.
All I'm picturing is that part from the Book of Mormon, the song Spooky Mormon Hell Dream, where he's in hell and he's surrounded by Hitler, Dharma, Johnny Cochran, and Genghis Khan, but declaring that, like, and they all list, like, the awful things that they did, which were bad things.
Really?
And then, and then Homie just turns around and goes, you think that's bad? I'm way worse than you.
I don't know.
And then the devil does the can.
I think that would just be really entertaining to watch.
I really want to go see Book of Mormon again. It's so freaking good.
Maybe when it
I know what I'm listening to tomorrow on the train.
Alright. So, even though he had these scary dreams, he apparently still wanted to be involved in the churchy church. Maybe because, like, his parents, like, forced him in the beginning. I don't really know. But he also, like, was, like, mad good at the piano. And he was a choir boy throughout his, like, childhood. I really couldn't remember that word. And I was about to call it smallhood. And I was like, that's wrong. That's why I was like, short person. Anyway.
Through his young years.
Not only did he play piano and was a choir boy, he also did, like, an after-school apprenticeship to be a motor engineer. Please don't ask me what that means. I don't know. I didn't care enough to Google it. But he only did that for a year. So, okay.
Clearly he doesn't know what it is either,
literally.
then.
It didn't even say, like, whether he graduated high school or not. Like, I would assume so, but I don't really know. Like... Oh, who the fuck cares? So after that random apprenticeship, he then worked in insurance and advertising for a hot minute. But then he was fired because he was oh my god. He was fired because he was suspected of cash theft. So I'm assuming, like, maybe, like, stealing petty cash or... I don't know, didn't really tell me. He then, you know, went into the super legal occupation of forging car documents. Don't really know what kind of documents you would need for a car. I assume it would be, like, pink slips
like
and,
registration
like, roadworthies and shit like that, yeah. I don't know. It was the 1900s.
Why do people do that?
Did
they have cars back then?
Yes.
I actually think we've had this exact conversation in an episode earlier, to be honest.
By July 6th, 1934, not a bestie. Horrible human hay. Was 25 years old. I've been called bitch face. We're not in the same category.
Probably by me.
Probably by multiple people, let's be honest.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that noise?
What noise?
I don't know, but it's gone now. Oh well.
Is it the person living in your crawl space?
Sir, could you shut up? I'm trying to record. Thank you. Anyway.
Who's that child in your window? Why are their eyes so black? I like that you checked the window, by the way. Trying to, like, really sneakily do it so that I wouldn't notice.
Okay, but you know what? My rapey neighbours, I wouldn't put it past them. I really wouldn't.
Are they children with black eyes?
No, they're old and fat and annoying.
Oh, that's just as
and
bad,
I don't
honestly.
describe them fat.
Don't let them in your house either.
Okay, look, I don't describe them as fat because I think being fat is bad. I describe them as fat because they physically... There's that fucking... Oh my god, I think it's my headphones.
Are they dying?
Yeah, I think so. It's like, that's not the charger. That's the charger.
Don't unplug your computer to plug in a charger again, please.
That could be embarrassing. Just don't think that's going to be long enough. Oh well, we'll just see for the last of the episode. Who gives a fuck? Anyway, so 25. Hay marries 23-year-old Beatrice Betty Hamer. The marriage didn't last long though, because Hay ended up in prison for fraud. Betty gave birth while he was incarcerated and put the baby up for adoption. That's all we know about his baby. Literally that one sentence.
I didn't even know she was pregnant, and then you're just like, oh, and she gave birth.
Literally, that was the entire sentence about her. It was like, he was married to Betty. Him and Betty Burke, it was like, Betty gave birth while he was in prison. And then that's it. I'm like...
So we don't even know if she gave birth to his child, she just gave birth.
I would assume. Anyway.
Maybe it was a food baby. Maybe she just had like
Me, every day.
lot of burritos that day.
Burritos. I fucking love burritos.
They're so good.
I really want a burrito now. Anyway, at this stage in his life, his religious family, after everything he'd done, now was when they were like, you know what? You're not invited to family Christmas. So they ostracized him. So, dude moved to London in 1936 and continued being a shitty human and committed many a fraud and did some more jail time for it. Apparently, though, that, like, wasn't good enough for him. And he just, like, was like, you know what, this is, like, isn't exciting enough. Like, this there isn't enough money. Like, I need more. I need more, guys. So...
More money, please.
At this time, he also developed an interest in French métrage. Wait.
French what?
Métrage. Métrage. Why are you being mean?
Ah. I'm like, what are you saying? I don't understand.
Métrage. I'm saying métrage. I thought it made sense.
You know how I feel about the
did
French.
last
Stop.
time? I unplugged this, and that was long enough. Oh gosh, this is going to be fun. I'm still gonna do it.
The hole is up. Oh, I'm pointing at it on the screen. There it is.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to see it, Jeremy.
It's on the side at the front.
At the front?
Yes. Right next, like, on the...
There.
Yes, there.
Why did I just take them off, for fuck's sake?
Maybe I shouldn't even bother editing the episode and just put it straight up like this.
Ooh, I don't know what's happening.
Can you charge it and
I
use
can't
them at
hear
the
you.
same time?
Don't say anything. Oh, I put the radio on. Hello?
Hello?
Wait, no. Come back to me. Come back to my headphones. Hello?
Hello?
Now you're coming through my headset. Okay. God, that was confusing. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this raw and just publish it, complete with the spilling of tea that we should not have been spilling.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Anywho.
No, that I will remove.
The rest of it just leave in. Alright, so if it's George but with an S in the end, does that make it Jorge?
Maybe?
Or
Are
can we just call them
they
Georges?
Spanish?
No, they're
I'm assuming it
French.
probably is Jorge.
They're French. So
Is it like...
It's literally
Oh,
the word
so-
George with an S on the end. Like, is it Georges? Georges?
Well, it's French, so... And you know how I feel about the French. Oh god, he's speaking French to me. In English, it is George. In French, it is Georges.
Okay, cool.
Georges.
So,
Because why is France?
okay. So Hay around this time became interested in French maître Georges Alexandre. Sorry. I'm sure I said that name completely wrong, but I really don't fucking care. Who was the last person to be executed in the, I'm also going to say this wrong, Aix-en-Provence. He was guillotined for double murder, where he dissolved the bodies in sulfuric acid, which is where this story is going. Spoiler alert. Hey,
Acid's a fun time! Woo!
never tried it, can't relate. Hay began experimenting.
It's great for dissolving bodies.
I know. I literally would use it to dissolve a body. Hay began experimenting with the, I wrote SA, and my brain immediately thought of trigger warning sexual assault. Awkward. With the...
Me, why I cannot use SA for South Australia.
Or SA
Which...
for Squatters Anonymous.
Oh, yeah. Which we don't record anyway, so...
Awkward. Source guys. Anyway. So he began experimenting with sulfuric acid and mice, and he found that it took only 30 minutes for a mouse's body to dissolve in sulfuric acid, which I just feel like he had to be using a fucking rat and not a mouse, because a mouse is fucking tiny. It should not take 30 minutes.
I mean, mice can be kind of big.
But I feel like they're not. It had to be a rat. Oh well, who cares? So by 1943... No, they're not. By 1943, Hay was... Mice are actually dirtier than rats, fun fact. Cindy used to have pet rats growing up, and we got one mouse, and it smelled so bad compared to the rat. Like, the rat was, like, chill as fuck, super clean, and then the fucking... Also, holy shit, have you seen rats' balls? They're fucking huge!
I don't.
Oh my god! We always
I'm sorry, but the only rodent that I care about, and I use quotation marks on rodent because I argue that it is not a rodent, it is just the cutest thing in the whole fucking world besides myself, is squirrels. Actually, no, I think squirrels are ahead of me. Just.
Alright, so Cindy growing up always had girl rats, and then we got her a boy one, and damn.
And of course, the first thing you did was look at its balls because you're a fucking pervert.
No. They're like small when they're cute and like a baby, but then when they grow up, they're fucking huge. I'm trying to find like a Google image of it so I can show you.
What did you Google? Rat balls?
Adult male pet rat balls.
I don't want your Google history.
No one wants my Google.
Actually,
history.
mine's not that great either.
Alright. They're just so big. Like, they're unnecessarily large.
What the fuck?
Right? Like, it's half of it. Like, it's usually like the size of their fucking head. And I'm like, why? Why do you need to be this big? Anyway, back to Hay. So by 1943, Hay was working as an accountant for an engineering firm. I'm just going to take a wild stab and say that didn't work out well because he was known for fraud.
Yeah, not someone you want as an accountant.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I clearly missed a step in my notes.
That doesn't sound like you.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I fully just skipped a section. Okay. So around the same time that he was, like, into the whole, like, sulfuric acid shit, it's worth noting...
Drink.
That he was in prison for, fraud.
A crime.
Again. Sorry, I know I was...
Which is a crime, so I wasn't wrong.
He was in prison for fraud because he sold fraudulent stock shares from, like, estates of deceased clients at below market rates and all this other stuff that I don't really understand, but I don't also really care. It's 1943, he's an accountant with an engineering firm, and then by chance, he happens to bump into his former employer, a William McSwan, at a pub in Kensington. So, McSwan happened to be there with his parents and introduced them to Hay and was like, hey, this is my parents, Donald and Amy. Cute little bean pies. And it seems just like, like a nice kind of off-chance meeting. Like, yeah, he was fired, obviously, from that guy, but, like, whatever. For context, he was William's chauffeur when he first moved to London in the late 30s. So that's how he knew Mick Swan, and he was always jealous of Mick Swan's lifestyle because Mick Swan was quite a wealthy man. And he was an owner of, like, amusement arcades and shit like that. So, like, he was doing pretty well for himself. And
I wish I was doing pretty well for myself.
Same.
Can't relate.
No. So, William then disappeared on the 6th of September 1944. His parents started asking questions and were really starting to worry because obviously they were like, dude, what the fuck happened to our son? Like, he was here and now he's suddenly not here. Like, what's going on? They obviously had a good relationship because he gave a shit. And they were also starting to worry because Hay had basically taken over William's life and told Donald and Amy that William had just packed up and left and gone to Scotland. Donald and Amy were like, the fuck? And then, crazily, they went missing the following year.
No way.
Yeah, so the
That's
2nd of July...
That's a plot twist I didn't see coming.
2nd of July 1945 was the last time the Donald and Amy McSwan were seen.
Did they also just pack up and go to Scotland?
Seems like
What's in Scotland that's so
Because-
appealing to these people? I mean, I know it's a really pretty place and, like, I don't know. I've not been, but it looks
Scottish
cool.
people seem cool. Love
Yeah.
Ginge. Dunno, but he magically...
I don't know. I don't like redheads. I've never met a redhead I liked.
Yeah, they're a bit annoying. Hay magically inherited all of their shit. So they, like, all of the McSwan stuff, she just happened to magically inherit. And he moved into a hotel. By 1947, though, which is just 2 years after this happened,
but I feel like moving into a hotel would be really expensive.
Literally, though, I don't understand people that move into hotels. Anyway, we need to get through this case, bro. Okay.
Sorry, the rat bum just showed up again. Why does Skype do that?
But 2 years later, he had gambled away pretty much all of the McSwan money. But it's okay, guys, because Hay now knew what to do in a crisis where he didn't have any money. All he had to do was...
Go gay for pay?
No. Actually, we'll reveal it a little bit later how he does it. Anyway, that's where Archibald and Rose Henderson come into the story. They were a couple he had befriended after feigning wanting to buy a house because he's a piece of shit. They even had invited him into their home to, because they were like, oh, look at this gentleman. He's lovely. Oh, he can play the piano. Come play the piano for us. Show us his skills, bestie. I think there was like a party or something like that, and they invited him to play, so he played for them. And then at this time, he was like, you know what? I'ma steal your revolver. It was the... Do you say the point? .38 caliber do you say the point? No. I feel like...
It's just 38 caliber, yeah.
Okay. So it's a 38 caliber Webley revolver. I sent you a picture so you can envision it. It gives you an old-timey Western movie kind of feel.
It just looks like your standard bang bang to me.
Literally, though. So he would later...
Well, if it's a revolver, it's kind of more like bang, click,
hold up a sec.
bang.
Bang, bang.
Yeah.
So he would later use this revolver to kill both of them.
No, you don't say.
Yeah, so this happened on the 12th of February 1948. So he took a year because he's a piece of shit. So he, once again, stole all their shit. And he even kept their dog. Like, what?
Well, I mean, at least he didn't leave the dog there, like, because that would make him a real piece of shit.
No, because then the dog could be, like, taken in by the family or something.
Or just left abandoned.
True. So basically,
how many times did, like, you hear these cases of, like, they killed the people and just left their dog? I mean, if they killed the dog, that's also just as bad.
Yeah, the worst ones are when they kill the dog as well. Like, that, I'm like, why? Why did you need to kill a puppy dog?
Yeah. What did the puppy dog do?
I worry about, like, if I got murdered, if they would kill B, because B would cry and bark at them. By the way, around the time that he met the Hendersons, he did use what was left of his McSwan money to rent out a workshop at 2 Leopold Road, Crawley, Sussex, while he would actually, like, live in hotels and shit like that. So basically what he would do to kill these people is he would, like, lure them away from, like, wherever they were or whatever. And then he would, like, so with the first guy, William, he lured him to a basement and hit him over the head with a lead pipe and then put him into a 40 imperial, 48 US gallon drum, which I think is 180 litres, with concentrated sulfuric acid. And then with the McSwan parents, he did basically the same thing and, like, lured them to the same basement that he lured their son to and then killed them with blows to the head. But this time he had the gun. So for this time, he also had the workshop this time. So this time he lured them to the workshop saying that he was going to show him an invention. But he lured the husband there first. So he lured Archibald there first and was like, hey, I want you to see this invention I've got. Like, it's really, really cool. Come have a look. Archibald's like, oh, okay, sick. He's come down. Hay shot him in the head. And then he's, like, somehow lured Rose there as well. Saying that, like, oh, Archibald's sick, come and get him. And then Rose has come and he shot her as well.
Okay, but he's using barrels.
Yeah.
Couldn't he actually be like, hey, come check out these barrels. I'm making wine. You'll really like it. And then pour them a glass of person.
They're drums. So I think they're... Sorry, they're drums.
Hey...
barrels.
You know how I told you I was a drummer? Come check out my drum set. Get them there. They look at it and are like, where are the drums? And he's like, right there. Bang, bang.
Yeah, that's definitely how
and then he hits the cymbal to, like,
oh my god,
end his solo.
So that's what he did with the Hendersons. And then, obviously, he did the same thing. He put them into the oil drums filled with acid and then forged their signatures and sold all of their possessions, except for their car and their dog, sorry. It was their car and their dog.
A dog isn't a possession, it's a pet.
I agree, but I'm just saying. So all the while he was doing that, so he had his little workshop, that's where he killed Rose and Archibald. But he was living at the Onslow Court Hotel when this all went down and afterwards. So a year later again, so we're at 1949 now. He's living in the Onslow Court Hotel. He's doing all right. Like, he ran out of money a bit, so then he killed the Hendersons. He's all Gucci for money now. Then he meets Olive Durand Deacon. And he's like, you know what? You look like the perfect person to kill. So, as per his MO, he lured her down to the basement. Now, hers is actually kind of sad because she was 69 years old and she was the wealthy widow of a solicitor. And she actually also lived in the Onslow Court Hotel. And he had, like, made friends with her, and she had mentioned an idea to him about, like, artificial fingernails. So she was just, like, this cute little old lady. I'm assuming she was also, like, a badass bitch because she's trying to invent shit in 1949 as a woman. So, like, props to her.
Imagine artificial fingernails, though. I don't think that's going to take off.
Yeah, like,
who would spend money on fake nails? That's just... Dream bigger, woman. That's not going to take off.
Right, I did think that was a nice little detail. So then he lures her down to that same workshop and is like, oh yeah, like, come down to my workshop. We'll try and, like, work out the kinks of it and we'll, like, do it. You know, I have a workshop. Let's go do it. And then he shot her in the back of the neck with the same revolver that he'd used on the Hendersons. As always, he stripped her of her valuables, including a Persian lamb coat and...
Ooh.
I know, right? Bougie. And obviously put her in the acid tub. 2 days later, her friend Constance Lane reported her missing. Which is, like, really fucking sad.
I feel like a soak in sulfuric acid would be like a nice little detox bath, though.
Literally, though. All of your
like, it would be very exfoliating for the skin.
Yeah, all of your impurities would just melt away.
Yeah, because you yourself are impure, so the impurity, though, which is you, will be gone. That's the dream. I would love to be gone.
Obviously, an investigation ensues, and, you know, like, the police start looking into the connections she had at the hotel and, like, other connections she had in her life. It was soon discovered that Hay had a record of theft and fraud, and that he had a workshop. Police were like, alright, you little fucker, we're gonna search you, and they searched the workshop, and it was in the workshop that they found Hay's little briefcase, which contained a dry cleaning receipt for Olive's coat and some papers referring to the Hendersons and the McSwans. Also, kind of stupidly, the workshop didn't contain a floor drain, unlike the one... Yeah, so, like, the basement he had used for the McSwans had a drain, so he was more easily able to drain the people. But the new workshop did not have a drain. So he was disposing of the remains by pouring out the container on a rubble pile at the back of the property. The area was investigated by a pathologist named Keith Simpson, and it was revealed... No, not revealed. It was discovered... There was... Oh my god, why can't I not fucking write this sentence?
You wrote it, you just can't read it.
Literally, though. Why can't I fucking do this? So the pathologist found 28 pounds, which is 12.7 kilos, of human body fat, part of a human foot, human gallstones, and part of a denture, which was later identified by Olive's dentist to be hers. Apparently, at some point during questioning, Hay turned around to Detective Inspector Albert Webb and was like, tell me frankly, what are the chances of anybody being released from Broadmoor, which is a high-security psychiatric hospital?
That's where the Silent Twins went.
Yeah, and the inspector was like...
I'm pretty sure.
What the fuck? And then the inspector was like, what the fuck, I can't tell you that kind of shit. And then Hay replied, well, if I told you the truth, you would not believe me. It sounds too fantastic to believe. He then confessed to the killing of Olive, Donald, Amy, William, Rose, and Archibald.
Yeah, the Silent Twins went to Broadmoor, a maximum security hospital for the criminally insane.
Yeah. While he was confessing to the victims I've told you about, he also confessed to the 3 other people. A young man named Max, a girl from Eastbourne, and a woman from Hammersmith. These claims could not be substantiated, so that's literally all I know about them.
Okay.
But he did try and plead insanity when the trial began. So I think that's why he asked about that question there, because he was just like, he's trying to get out of it because he's a piece of shit. He also, during the trial, claimed that he drank the blood of his victims, and also tried to say that his religious dream nightmares that he'd had when he was younger were dominated by blood. And he also made claims that, like, when he was involved in a car accident in 1944, that same dream returned to him. And, like, this is a fucking wild quote. Well, lol, so I do get to see what his dream was. My bad. I saw before me a forest of crucifixes, which gradually turned into trees. At first there appeared to be dew or rain dripping from the branches, but as I approached, I realised it was blood.
I thought that you said Jew.
No,
as in,
Jew.
like, with a J.
No,
Yeah, it clicked with the rest of the sentence, but just in the context of, like, I saw the crucifixes turn into trees,
yeah.
and then I saw Jew, so I thought that you were meaning, like, there were Jews there, and that was his nightmare, and I'm like, that's not that bad, like, they're...
It is a few...
Calm down, bestie.
Anyway.
Semitic,
whatever. I've only ever seen that word written down. But as I approached, I realised it was blood. The whole forest began to writhe, and the trees, dark and erect, to ooze with blood. A man went from...
Don't put the words erect and ooze in the same sentence. What?
This is a quote. This is an apparent quote.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying who...
This man is a fucking crackhead. A man went from each tree catching the blood. When the cup was full, he approached me. Drink, he said, but I was unable to move.
Think of it as the communion wine.
So, that's apparently what he tried to, like, fucking claim. And then the prosecution was straight up like, no. He's a fucking idiot. No, don't believe that he's insane. He acted with malice why can I not say this word? He acted with malice aforethought. Why?
Malice of forethought.
Yep, that one. So he acted with that because obviously he fucking melted them in a sulfuric acid. I don't know.
Costa, this is an audio platform. This hand movement doesn't translate.
It was him putting them into the tubs.
Okay.
So, like, the prosecution was like, no, this fucker clearly is not insane because he was sane enough to lure them somewhere, fucking murder them, and then put them in sulfuric acid. Like, no, I'm sorry, if you were insane, you wouldn't have done this and it wouldn't be spread out. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, no. It's a hard
Apparently, the defender was like, no, look, he's he's a bad person. He's just got bad mental health. That's all it is, guys. He's not a bad person. And
bad people can have bad mental health.
Yeah, literally, though.
I have bad mental health. Point in case.
So, but apparently, I also found this very funny. Apparently, Hay, like, legitimately thought that if the bodies of his victims weren't found, then, like, he couldn't be convicted of murder. Yeah. He was like, oh, you can't find the bodies, so I can't be convicted. And then the jury was like... So it took the jury...
Not how that works.
It took the jury 20 minutes to find him guilty. And then Mr. Justice Travers Humphreys sentenced him to death. And he was hanged.
How'd he die?
Hung.
Oh, no, he was hanged. You were correct. The only time a man is hung is if he has a big one.
Maybe he did. I don't know. Anyway.
Well,
he was
in
hanged.
this case, we at least know that he was hanged.
He was hanged on the 10th of August, 1949. And also a random fun fact about this case. A journalist who referred to him as a murderer before the trial was over, so before the official conviction, was actually sentenced to a 3-month prison term for contempt of court for describing him as a murderer while the trial was still underway. So I don't think he used the word alleged. I think he was straight up just like, hey, the murderer did this, or something like this, and then the court was like, well, actually, that's really bad.
Did he do that in court, though?
No.
I don't understand how being held in contempt of court works. I thought that it was if you do wrong in court, the judge can hold you in contempt. Like, if they have to keep telling you.
So it's
Okay.
the offence of being disobedient to or disrespectful towards a court of law and its officers in the form of a behaviour that opposes or defies the authority. So by him calling him a murderer before the court had officially, convicted him of being a murderer, he was basically being like, fuck you. And he wasn't technically giving the guy a fair trial. I think that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, how weird is that? And
Pretty weird.
That's the end, bestie.
I don't like hay.
No,
I'm just going to put it out there. It's kind of a hot take, I know, but not a fan. I mean, there's a lot of things he could improve on. Just as a person, not as a murderer. Just to clarify. I mean, look, there's also kind of things that he could improve on as a murderer, but just as a person
not being
in general.
Dumb would be a good one.
Yeah, but most murderers are dumb. Probably because most of them are men.
Dumb.
Well, it doesn't help that they're men.
Most of the ones we know about are men.
Exactly.
Because women don't get caught.
Well, I have a fun tale for you.
Is it actually fun?
So you know how we like to...
You know
how our saying here is to stay toxic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the embodiment of that. Stay toxic. Just
queen behavior.
It's the ultimate story of toxicity. But then he also tells me that I'm not allowed to be a trophy wife. Actually, no. He didn't say I'm not allowed to. He said I would be bad at it.
Would you though?
I mean, I have the pretty part down. And I have the wine, the drinking wine, and the nagging part down.
I think you just need fake boobs.
No, pointed out that it's the fact that I don't cook or clean.
Oh, alright. Do they do that though, or do they usually hire maids?
That's what I said. I was like, well, I'll just get someone to do that. Wow. And he was like, well, what's the point of me being the sole income earner for you to stay at home? And I'm like,
for you to stay at home?
Happy wife, happy life? What?
God, that's a whole
what do you mean?
musical number in Brad and
I wouldn't be able... So, like I said earlier today, though, I wouldn't be able to, quit working completely. I'd have to have a volunteer charity job that I can go to on my terms. So, once a week, I'd go in, I'd spend a half hour there, and then I'd go, okay, yep, that's my work week done. I've done.
I like that.
I've done my bit.
It would have to be a volunteer program. I'd go in, I'd spend a half an hour there.
Yeah, I've done my bit. I'm such a good person putting in my charity work.
Damn.
And you know what? It would probably be a half an hour where I'd like spend most of my time making myself a cup of coffee, just walking around, catching up with everyone, saying my hellos, and then I'm like, okay, well, I've put in my charity for the week. I'm going back home to play video games now. Bye. Oh
my God.
I'd be a great trophy wife. Like,
clearly.
I got this.
Oh my God.
So during the time that we weren't recording and were meant to record, I was going to talk to you about this on one of the times that we were supposed to record because it was the day after I found this out. Apparently Americans don't have party pies.
Oh,
and that
you
hurts
said
me in my soul.
About that. What the fuck? I don't understand.
Yep.
I fucking love party pies.
Long story short, I'm in a Discord server where I'm the only Australian and it's kind of a lot of people. And generally when a new person joins, we ask them for some fun facts and or a hot take. And more often than not, the hot takes are food related and it really takes off. And the ones that take off the most are the ones that are condiment related. Because someone will be like, I don't like mustard, or ketchup is gross, which ketchup is disgusting.
I think it's not as tomato.
And so that then led to me saying that I pretty much am not a sauce person. Like, I don't have sauce in my house other than mustard and mayo.
Fair.
But even then, both of which I use very rarely, kind of sparingly. And that I'd recently had a get together with some friends of a friend, and they bought party pies, which I took out, I put in the oven, took them out, served them, and they asked where the sauce is. And I was like, oh, I don't have any because I don't use it. But after saying that, Oklahoma was like, so by party pies, do you mean pizza?
Why would you mean pizza?
Because Americans call pizza pie.
No, that confuses me so much. I don't understand why.
But
to be fair, a lot of things that Americans do confuses the shit out of me.
That's true. And she was like, because if there's no ranch to go with my pizza, then yeah, I'm gonna flip. I don't get that thing either, but you know.
You do you, bestie.
Whatever. You do you, bestie. Oklahoma can do no wrong in my eyes. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Oklahoma, now is your chance to fucking murder someone and ask Jeremy to help.
And I was like, no. Party pies are like...
mini pies.
Pies, but smaller. And... yeah, none of them knew of them. They were like, oh, they sound like... someone did chime in and be like, oh, pie here is normally, like, sweet. Like, it's usually a dessert with fruit and blah, blah, blah. Whereas for us, it's the other way around, where we have apple pie, but everything else is pretty much a savory pie. They're just, like, tiny little pies.
Americans
and they were like, so what's in the pies? And I'm like...
mince!
Mince and gravy. It's really yummy. But it's fine, I can't be that mad at them because they send me squirrel pics of what I call my pet squirrel, because I named him, so he's my pet squirrel, even if he's in another country.
I'm getting mad at them on behalf of Australians.
Okay, it's my turn. Hello, it's me again. Back at it with another unsolved mystery.
All I could think of just then was like, hey, wait, what is it? Hi, it's me.
It's me.
Hi.
I'm the problem.
Yeah, that's literally all that just went through my head. I was like, oh, bit on brand.
That's probably where, because that's literally written in my notes, so that's probably where that came from, because I would have been listening to Midnights while I wrote these notes.
Such a fucking...
Hello,
banger!
It's me again. Back at it with another unsolved mystery. Oh, it also could be like a throwback to the Beaumont Tiles episode. No, that's National Tiles. But when I did tile facts about the Beaumont kids.
Frank Walker from National Tiles. Oh my god, I actually saw one of those stores in real life the other week.
Okay.
I was driving and I was going to the Christmas Shack. It was the most amazing experience of my life, and it's now my new favorite store. Anyway, so we were going there and we drove in and I looked to my left and I was like, hey, that's a National Tile store. And then Courtney was like, what? And I was like, hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. And then she looked at me like she wanted to murder me, but like, I like to look.
Well,
at
that's
myself
okay,
like that.
Courtney, because I'm about to make it up to you.
God, they're traumatizing me.
No. So, as I said, I wrote these notes 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't until I opened them to sit down and start doing this recording, and when I went and did the thing to search for my Silent Twins notes to see if they went to Broadmoor, because I needed to know, that I realised, hey, I didn't do fun facts.
Jeremy, you absolute
But
doofus.
I then was like, hey, let's just Google something random and get some fun facts. And what has been on my mind all day but your sister's favourite animal? Elephants. So I Googled fun facts about elephants.
I think Courtney will be very
So, Courtney,
happy.
I don't actually think that you listen, but
I don't think
if
she
you
does.
listen to this episode, here's some fun facts about elephants, because I learned last night that they exact revenge, and that has been living rent-free in my head ever since. It's a new fear. I never want to cross an elephant ever in my life. I mean, I want to come across them, but I don't want to cross them. Also, I have another new fear that I never knew I needed, because today I heard the story of a guy that fell into he worked at a plastic recycling plant and he fell into the giant plastic shredder. And he was deemed missing for a month. A month later, they found a chunk of flesh on the conveyor belt, which they were concerned about, so they tested it to see if it was human or not. It was, and it matched his DNA, and it eviscerated him that badly that they were only able to, from collecting the little bits of flesh that they did find, accumulate 2 pounds of his flesh.
I'm sorry.
A month later.
What?
This is a new fear I never knew I needed. I was telling Mateo, and he's like, okay, but you don't work at a plastic recycling plant. And I'm like, but one day I might.
Still, Jesus.
What if I want a change of career? I guess plastic recycling is off the list now.
Yeah,
Also,
it's not a possibility.
we have a box compactor at work. What if I fall in that one day? And I'm missing for a month because no one
fell into that and no one fucking noticed you were gone.
I mean, people noticed he was gone. He was deemed missing for a month. Anyway, here's some fun facts about elephants that I just Googled. The first one is quite obvious. This is all from treehugger.com.
Oh.
Elephants never forget, yes, because they exact revenge.
Like, fair though. Humans are trash.
So, apparently their memory is legendary for good reason. They possess the largest brains, which makes sense because they're fucking massive.
Literally.
Their heads are huge.
They're so cute though.
But apparently they have the ability to recall... Oh, they're gorgeous creatures. They are stunning. Absolutely beautiful. I don't have a bad thing to say about elephants, and I hope that every elephant out there hears me say that.
You're just trying to get on elephants' good sides, that's all this is.
Yes. Apparently they have the ability to recall distant watering holes, other elephants, and humans that they have encountered, even after the passage of many years. They may even show up at their funeral and thrash their corpse around.
Nice.
That's the revenge I'm talking about. And apparently they transmit their wealth of knowledge from generation to generation through the matriarch's ill. Why through the mother? That's gross.
Because elephants have got it right.
It's... Elephants, you're amazing! Don't come for me, please. Apparently they're also able to recall the path to sources of food and water across great distances. and they adjust their oh, this'll help you. You be more like an elephant. They adjust their schedule to arrive just in time.
You know what's funny? Is I went out to brunch with my friend last week. So we've known each other for like 14 years. And I met... we were supposed to meet at 10. I got there at 10:15. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
So you were
late.
on time in your books.
I was like, I'm so sorry I'm late. I was going to be on time. Like, I've been up since like 7:30. It's just that the idea I had planned in my head, I didn't like when I put it on, and then I couldn't find anything I liked myself in. And she's like, oh, you're fine. I expected you to be a lot later than this. This is actually like really good for you. And I was like, for fuck's sake.
Yes, because your version of early is on time. On time for you is within half an hour of the time designated. Late is anything that's an hour after that.
To be fair, whenever I make plans with someone, I always say 9:30, 10. And I feel like other people are like, oh, okay, so 9:30. But when I say that, I mean 10.
But generally, we do give each other the window of let's aim for 6:30-ish. And to me, I read that as be ready to go at 6, but just kind of waste time until 7. Because I know it will be sometime between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's going to be 7, but that it will fall somewhere. I add an extra half hour because I'm like, it'll be somewhere within there. I know you. And it's at the point where, yeah.
I don't do it on purpose. I feel like some people think that I'm like low-key. Like, I read this thing once where it was like, I fucking hate late people. Like, why can they never be on time? And I'm like, it's not because I don't want to be on time. Like, I genuinely do want to be on time. It's just stuff gets in the way.
The idea of being late genuinely hurts me as a person. So if I make the plan for 5, I'm usually ready. I'm usually aiming to be there by 1:45.
Nerd. Because
then that means I have some wiggle room if something gets in the way.
Yeah.
And then if I'm running late to be there at 5, like if I'm not going to be there by 5:02, I'm then sending the message going, hey, I'm running late. Even though I'm actually still early.
Me waiting for it to actually hit 5. Yeah, I'm running late, y'all. Actually, I always wait till like 5 minutes and then I say I'm running late.
Another fun fact about elephants. Apparently, they can distinguish languages.
Oh, that's cool.
So apparently they exhibit a deep understanding of human communication. By the way, elephants have nothing to do with my case. They've just been on my mind all day. So
that's fair. I kind of figured that much.
Researchers at a national park in Kenya played back the voices of speakers from 2 different groups. One that preys on the elephants and another that does not. When they heard the voices of the group they feared, they were more likely to act defensively by grouping tightly together and smelling the air to investigate. What's more, they found the elephants also responded with less intensity to female and younger male voices, becoming most agitated at the voices of adult males.
Mood
Fair
can
call.
relate.
Yeah. As an adult male who has no choice but to hear an adult male's voice every time I open my mouth, can relate. I'm sick of that shit.
As someone with a vagina. Actually, no,
But
that's kind of mean. As someone
Most
who presents as a woman, can relate.
Most other adult male voices do actually irritate me, though. Like, some don't, but the majority of the people attached to those voices drive me insane.
Literally, I could think of a fucking few.
Elephant language skills go beyond understanding One Asian elephant learned to mimic words in Korean.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Researchers theorize that because his primary social contact while growing up was with humans, he learned to mimic words as a form of social bonding. They can hear through their feet!
That's cool. So random.
But their ears are big enough, they don't need any extra hearing.
Yeah, but like they're really tall.
They're not like giraffes.
I know, but like they're still tall.
They are. They're just so pretty. Look at this photo, it's so cute. So apparently they have a great sense of hearing and have the ability to send vocalizations over long distances. They make a variety of sounds, including snorts, roars, cries, and barks. I'm just picturing an elephant, like, going woof. But they can also specialize in low-frequency rumbles, also known as a fart, that they are able to pick up. They're able to pick up sounds in an unusual way. So they use lower frequency vocalizations and foot stomping that resonates at a frequency that other elephants can detect through the ground.
Yeah.
They have enlarged ear bones and sensitive nerve endings in their feet and their trunks, allowing them to pick up infrasonic messages. So they're kind of like stomping Morse code to one another.
I remember when I went to Melbourne Zoo with Courtney and Cindy, and when we were there, we went and saw the elephants.
Best fucking zoo.
No, literally, they're hands down better than Australia Zoo. Like, I love Steve, but sorry.
Yeah, it is the best fucking zoo. It is massive. It is.
You
so
feel
much
so
to do
much
there.
Closer to the animals. I found
You do.
like. At
And I love, like,
Australia
having-
Zoo, you can't get very close to the fucking giraffes. Like, they're fucking miles away.
Oh.
At Melbourne Zoo, you feel like you're about
They're,
to,
like, front and
fucking-
center.
Yeah, they're so close to you.
And I love having the giraffes and the zebras in the same
They're like that at
enclosure.
Australia Zoo.
Like, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I have not been to Australia Zoo in so long. But I just loved watching the giraffes eating from, like, all the way up here, and then all of the stuff that they were rustling through
Rejecting.
was falling down onto the floor, and then the zebras were at their feet picking that
They're
up.
like, oh, thank you.
Thank you!
But yeah, when we went to Melbourne Zoo, one of the zookeepers there, because they were moving some of the elephants. I can't remember where they were moving them. I think they were moving them out to one of the paddocks or something, but they were passing us. And one of the zookeepers were like, if you hum at them, they might talk back to you. Like, they might do it back. And we were like, what? So we sat at the fence and we were all humming at them, and then one of the elephants actually like came a little bit closer to the fence because he could hear us like humming, because we were going like like that, and yeah, it was like pretty fucking cool, dude.
Alright, I have one last elephant fact before I actually dive into my case. This might help you, given the past couple weeks. They use
Sounds
dirt
ominous.
as sunscreen.
Fuck you.
So maybe you shouldn't have wiped your knees clean before you went to the beach today.
Oh, that sounds so inappropriate. It was dirt from our job because where we work is quite dirty. This is not making it sound any better.
Why were you on your knees to get paid?
What? I wasn't.
There's a good reason that elephants like to play in the dirt. Although their hide looks tough, they have sensitive skin that can get sunburned.
Twinsies.
Much like a certain ranger that I know. So, to counteract the damaging rays of the sun, elephants throw sand on themselves. Adult elephants, I don't know why I said adult weird, will also douse youngsters.
So what kind of elephants
Adult
are they again,
elephants will
Jeremy?
also adult elephants will also douse youngsters with dust. When coming out of a bath in a river, elephants will often throw mud or clay on themselves as a layer of protection. I wonder if that's why hippos love
Like,
mud so much too. And maybe pigs.
They just like mud though.
Maybe that's why pigs like to roll around in mud too.
I don't know, like, I'm not gonna say that I like to roll around in mud, but like it's fun to get dirty sometimes.
Alright. So, as I said, I'm back at it again with another unsolved mystery. And this week, I will be talking to you about the case of the toxic woman, which is basically every woman to ever exist. I'm kidding. It's basic. Every human is the toxic human. We're all toxic, let's be fucking real.
Humans are trash.
As I said, I remember, like,
Nothing.
what this case is about, but I wrote this 2 weeks ago, so I don't actually remember what I wrote. So this will be a fun journey.
Woo!
Born in January of 1963, mother of two, Gloria Ramirez, was diagnosed with cervical cancer shortly before her 31st birthday.
Jesus, that's young.
And had begun treatment by mid-February of 1994. From what I could see, she was a lovely woman. According to the LA Times, Reverend Brian Taylor described her as a friend to all, quick to smile, a carefree joker who brought comfort and joy to others.
Seems sketchy.
On the night of February 19th at about 8:15 p.m., she was taken to the emergency room of General Hospital of Riverside, California.
Riverside!
Where she was...
That's what
Riverside,
Jeremy did.
motherfucker.
Yeah, there we go. There it is.
Riverside, California, where she was a resident after her boyfriend had called for an ambulance as she was having trouble breathing.
Well, that's not good.
No, it's not good, because she died.
What?
I told you before that this case was about someone who died on my father's birthday, and I just told you my father's birthday.
Oh, yeah. I didn't really, connect the dates. I was just like, alright, so we've got a dead person.
A toxic person.
Bum, bum, bum.
So, according to Discover magazine, when she reached the hospital, she was awake and responsive to questions, but only with brief, sometimes incoherent answers. So she would respond, but it was only 1 or 2 words, and some of her, a lot of her responses were also incoherent. She was taking shallow, rapid breaths, and her heart was beating too rapidly, which was causing her blood pressure to plummet. Maureen Welch, who was a respiratory therapist assisting that night, reported that the only unusual thing about her was that what?
Yes.
Okay. I really should have read these before coming back, because we know how I write. I don't make it easy on myself. You write how you speak, I write how I write. Maureen Welch. Well, I write it like it's an article every time, and then I have to read it back, and I'm like, well, now I'm confused.
Fair.
Maureen Welch, a respiratory therapist assisting that night, reported that the only unusual thing about her was her age, as most patients in the ER with these symptoms are elderly, and Gloria was only 31.
Weird. Sketchy.
Reportedly, the medical staff began the standard protocol for her condition, injecting sedatives and antiarrhythmics to calm her erratic heartbeat, while using an ambu bag to assist with the breathing. That is, like, it's that football-shaped rubber bladder that's connected to the face mask thing. Like, it has, like, a plastic mask over the nose and mouth. It's, like, the sanitary alternative to mouth. So, like, they put that on and they do the squeeze instead of the let me make out with you for a minute.
I mean, to be fair, if, like, someone's saving my life, like, you can make out with me for a little bit. That's okay. I don't mind. I give you permission.
Okay, you can, like, almost die in front of me.
Ooh.
I'll make out with you a bit.
Spicy.
Let's be real, I don't need any incentive to make out with you a bit.
Oh, literally, though.
So yeah, they'd used sedatives and antiarrhythmics and were using the ambu bag to try and assist with the breathing. However, it soon became clear that this was not working. Gloria wasn't responding to this treatment, and the next step was to try defibrillating the heart with electricity. It was at this point when they removed her shirt and affixed the defib electrodes to her chest that they noticed what appeared to be an oily sheen to her skin.
Ew.
Others also observed what they described as a fruity, garlicky odor, which they believed to be coming from her mouth. I don't really know what a fruity, garlicky odor...
Yeah, I'm like, those are very different smells.
Like, was it a combination of the two?
But again, I just feel like those are very different smells.
Alright, tell me about this toxic bitch.
Oh, so toxic. So, yeah, they observed this... They described with the scent that they observed, that they smelled coming from her mouth, or believed to be coming from her mouth, as a fruity, garlicky odor.
I just feel like that's a
So
really
I'm like-
random combination.
Yeah, I can't think of many instances where I've had fruit and garlic in the same...
Meal?
Well, if you have, like, a
mean,
spag
actually-
bog, and then you have, like, dessert.
I'm thinking of, so, like, a barbecue chicken thigh with a slice of mango, also barbecued, which is fucking beautiful, by the way. Seasoned with garlic. I can understand the combo
Okay,
of
yeah,
garlic and
I'm
fruit.
seeing
Yeah,
where you're coming
I've
from
I've
now.
had that. That works. Yeah, it's really good. But I don't know if I, like, smelled something that I would go, oh, that smells like fruity garlic. I would maybe go, that
fruity
smells
garlic?
like fruity Lexia.
Okay, fruity.
Susan Kane, who was a registered nurse, began to take a blood sample from Gloria's arm, but as the syringe began to fill, she noticed that the blood appeared to have a chemical smell to it.
Oh.
So, she commented on this and reportedly handed the syringe to Welch before leaning closer to Gloria to try and locate the source of the odor.
It's like that's
Again,
not
from
a
Discovery...
good
So,
decision.
pardon?
I said I feel like that wasn't a good decision.
Oh, there's a chemical smell. Let
Let
me
me
lean
just, like,
closer to
fucking lean
identify
close.
it.
Yeah, let me lean closer to this unidentified smell at the moment.
Why does this rag smell like chloroform?
Wow, crazy. Crazy girl.
So this is from Discovery magazine. Welch sniffed the syringe and smelled something too. I thought it would smell like chemotherapy. The way the blood smells putrid and when people are taking some of those drugs.
Okay, but like, why
So,
are you
like-
smelling that, you
well-
fucking weirdo?
Because they've noticed the scent and they've gone, am I crazy? Or does this blood that I'm taking have an odor to it? Because that could be a sign of, hey, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I understand they're in the emergency room. It's the same as, hey, does this drink Does this glass of milk smell like almonds to you?
But no, I don't remember what they smell like.
They smell like cherry seeds.
I don't know what that smells like.
I thought it would smell like chemotherapy, the way the blood smells putrid when people are taking some of those drugs. Instead, Welch says, it smelled like ammonia.
Oh.
So, I'm gonna say something that I reckon you're gonna disagree with, but I have the science to back it up because it's not the first time that I've made this comment. It smelled like cum. Because ammonia and cum smell the same.
No.
Yes. So, a few months ago, I walked into Mateo's bathroom and he'd recently cleaned it. And I was like, oh, your bathroom has a very strong happy ending odor. And he was like, what? And I'm like, I know it's because you cleaned it with ammonia, but ammonia and cum smell the same. And he and Reese were both like, no, it doesn't. There's something wrong with you. A quick Google tells you that if your pH levels are correct, it should smell like ammonia.
Oh.
Because of the chemicals.
I feel like I don't remember what ammonia smells like then.
But I've always thought that there was something wrong with me because the number of times that I've gone somewhere and it's recently been cleaned or whatever, my brain will smell the ammonia, but
you'll be like, why does it smell like cum in here? That's weird.
Literally. I will just be
and
like,
then everyone's like,
why does this coffee shop smell like semen?
Why does this courtroom smell like cum? Did the lawyers just have sex in here?
Was there an orgy here earlier?
Didn't know they invite me.
But yeah, hang on. You ready? Why
I believe you.
Does cum smell like ammonia?
Shits and giggles.
This is from Medical News today, by the way.
Ooh.
Normal semen is slightly alkaline with a pH ranging from 7.2 to 7.8. This is a similar pH to that of blood and slightly lower than seawater and baking soda. Some people report a smell that is similar to bleach or ammonia, which is normal.
Okay, we get it.
Anyway, her blood smelled like cum. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's like you literally just want to say that her blood smelled like cum.
That's not in my notes. It is literally just that it smelled like ammonia, and straight away my brain went, oh, it smells like ammonia, it smells like cum. It's a fact, just deal with it. Anyway, Welch passed the syringe to medical resident Julie Gorczynski, who, upon looking at it, observed some strange manila-coloured particles floating in the blood, and showed this to the doctor in charge of the ER, Humberto Ochoa. Dr. Humberto. At this point, things started to take a turn for the strange, because they're not already strange. So the other staff observed Kane begin to sway before she fainted. I did see it mentioned in one article that the Dr. Umberto caught her and guided her body to the floor. She said her face was burning, and so she was removed from the room on a gurney.
Jesus.
Gorczynski complained of feeling queasy and lightheaded and left the room to take a seat at the nurse's desk before, moments later, slumping to the floor, becoming the second staff member to be wheeled away on a gurney. She reportedly had intermittent bouts of apnea in which she would stop breathing for several seconds, take a few breaths before stopping breathing again. Welch was the next to experience symptoms, also fainting. She's reported as remembering hearing someone screaming, and then when she woke up on the floor, not being able to control the movements of her limbs. So she was paralyzed. Several other members of staff began to say they felt ill as well, and it was quickly declared as an internal emergency. So the staff were ordered to evacuate all of the emergency room patients to the parking lot outside, with a skeleton crew staying behind to assist Humberto with Gloria. I'm not sure why they chose to evacuate everyone else instead of her specifically. Because she seems to be the source. It's only the people in... Well, it's only the people that have been in the room interacting with her that are affected.
True.
But they've gone, hey, let's remove everyone else out of the emergency room into the parking lot. She can stay.
Also, they were worried that she'd, infected. Because if it's already in the air, then maybe fresh air would help.
Maybe. Actually, that makes sense. I can understand that argument. I hadn't thought of the whole fresh air appeal, but, I also don't leave my apartment if I don't have to. Depression is real. Where did I go? Where do we go from here?
That's what came into your head. All I got was, where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cat and Joe. I've been married a long time low.
I'm not gonna lie, 9 days out of 10, the songs from Once More with Feeling are in my head, so... When do the trumpets cheer? Unfortunately, despite their best efforts, Gloria's blood pressure continued to drop and they were unable to stabilize her, and she was pronounced dead at 8:50 p.m. before being moved to an isolated room. Sally Balderas, a nurse who assisted with moving Gloria's body, suddenly began vomiting and said her face was burning, similar to Kane's, and again was laid out on a gurney and wheeled out to the parking lot where hospital staff were treating the patients as well as the ill colleagues. There were concerns that the staff had been in contact with a noxious chemical, so they were stripped down to their underwear and their clothes put into plastic bags. Of the 37 staff in the emergency room that night, 23 experienced at least one symptom, ranging from fainting and shortness of breath to nausea and temporary paralysis. I have had an entire bottle of Savvy Beast, just to be clear. Well, I have 2 mouthfuls left in my glass. White wine is not my friend, I won't lie. Which is also kind of why I've been saving this bottle for recording, because I was like, it'll be fun to get white wine drunk. So, yeah, of 37 staff, 23
Jesus Christ.
experienced at least one symptom, and they ranged from fainting and shortness of breath, that's the mild, to severe nausea and temporary paralysis.
Jesus.
And apnea. Apnea is another, those are the big ones. 5 of those staff members were hospitalized for the rest of the night, and 2 for longer. Gorczynski copped the worst of the deal. So she had... I think it was either Balderas or Kane. I think it was Balderas that was the other one that was there for longer. I didn't write it in my notes, but it was one of those two, and I'm pretty sure it was Balderas. Because she also started to have apnea issues. Gorczynski had a 10-day hospitalization. And during that... Oh, no, sorry. I did include it in my notes. I just jumped ahead. During her 10-day hospitalization, Balderas suffered bouts of apnea. So yeah, Sally, the one who vomited while moving the corpse, was the other. Gorczynski was the most severely ill of all. She spent 2 weeks in intensive care. I'm not drunk, you're drunk. Shh. Sorry, my chest is not loving it. I got this. I'm a professional. It's only been 3 weeks since I did this last. Yeah, she was left the most severely ill of all because she spent 2 weeks in intensive care where she continued to suffer from apnea, as well as hepatitis, pancreatitis, and a vascular necrosis, which is a condition in which bone tissue is starved of blood and begins to die. Kirsten, wake up.
I'm gonna stand. I'm sorry.
A condition in which bone tissue is starved of blood and begins to die.
Jesus.
I'm the one that has to start early.
I know. I'm sorry.
And should be going to sleep now. And you're the one that's falling asleep.
I'm sorry.
And that made us late.
I'm sorry.
So, this condition of her bone tissue being starved of blood and dying was actually attacking her knees specifically. And so she required... Yeah. Because there was no reason for it.
It was
but
you know what? What's a good part of the body to attack? Oh, the knees.
There was no reason for any of these symptoms. That's the thing. Random. She had apnea, hepatitis, pancreatitis, and a vascular necrosis. Those are things that don't just appear out of nowhere, and yet there's no reason for them. Hepatitis, you kind of have to, contract from somewhere. Any of the versions.
Very true.
Some are from feces. Some are from, food, fruits and stuff. Some is just from, dirty genitals or some shit. I don't know. I know those two specifically, that there's, food can cause one. I don't remember which one. And feces can cause the other. The ingestion of feces. I'm not a scientist or a doctor.
You're just dating.
But yeah, so she was required to use crutches for months following this because of the damage to her knees. And I watched it, I watched an interview with her while she was still in hospital. And the apnea was very clear because, she could only really get, 3-4 words out before she was having to pause and really, deeply breathe to get enough breath to get another few words out.
Jesus.
At 11 p.m. that night, a hazardous materials team, I almost said.
Cute.
A hazardous materials team arrived on the scene and began an investigation of the hospital in full hazmat suits. This was to search for chemicals or toxic agents. Can you tilt your webcam up so I'm looking up so I'm looking at your face and not your breasts? So yeah, at 11 p.m. that night, a hazardous materials team arrived on the scene and began an investigation of the hospital in full hazmat suits. This was to search for the chemicals or toxic agent responsible. But it was to no avail. There was no trace of anything that could have been responsible detected. This wasn't fully a relief, though, as now they had an autopsy to conduct on a body that could have been the source of an unknown pathogen or maybe like a toxic chemical. Because everything was fine until Gloria came into the mix. And that's when everything kind of went haywire.
Hit the fan.
So, 6 days after Gloria's death, they conducted an autopsy, but in order to do this, they did it in like a newly configured airtight examining room.
Mm-hmm.
So like they built a room out of aluminium and then it was airtight and they had these people, the coroners, in like airtight hazmat suits. And they did the autopsy. And then they left, and then they were like hosed it. Oh, hiccups. Hello. Calm down. So yes, they conducted this autopsy in an airtight room with airtight suits, and then they hosed them down afterwards just to be safe. And like samples were taken from her blood, her tissue, as well as air from the body bag. But all of these were inconclusive and didn't lead anywhere. Another more thorough autopsy was conducted on March 25th, so that's like more than a month after her passing, because she died February 19th. So that's more than a month, yeah. By the Forensic Science Center at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, and the team concluded that there were signs of Tygan, which is an anti-nausea medication, in her system. And apparently Tygan breaks down into amines in the body. And here's where it gets a bit sciencey. It's going to get a bit more sciencey a bit further on in a bit when I go over the theories. But from Britannica.com, an amine is any of a class of nitrogen-containing organic compounds derived, either in principle or practice, from ammonia. So it's like an organic compound derived from ammonia. And apparently this could explain the ammonia smell in her blood. Maybe. Like, that she'd taken this medication. But also, this autopsy was taken over a month after her death. So
not really sure how accurate it can all be.
I don't really know if that's super reliable. I'm not a coroner. That'd be a cool job.
It would be.
Maybe I should look into dealing with dead bodies. Like, legally. Because I've enjoyed it illegally. I've had fun.
May as well get paid for it.
I'm sorry, what? I didn't say it. What? I've never... But yeah, apparently this could explain the ammonia smell in Gloria's blood. In April, it was declared that Gloria's official cause of death was heart failure due to kidney failure, which was brought on by the late-stage cervical cancer, and the case was closed. However, the onslaught of illnesses that afflicted the ER that night were still a mystery, as no cause was found. And they just declared the cause to be a case of mass hysteria. So that was the official statement as to what happened. What caused the situation. There's a couple of theories about how Gloria caused, or what caused this, because it's not necessarily Gloria in these theories. This first theory, when I heard, so I have only seen or heard this theory posed by BuzzFeed Unsolved myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come across it in any of my research, but I maybe looked in different places to them. I can't not laugh at this one, so I'm just going to get it out of the way. One of the theories that they posed is that the emergency room illnesses, along with Gloria's death, were the result of an alien abduction.
What?
that aliens abducted Gloria, made her poisonous, and then returned her as an experiment.
Why would they bother?
Yeah.
That's silly.
Yeah. When I heard it and when I read it again, I was just like, what?
Yeah, that's a bit... What the fuck?
So then, obviously we have the official theory that the emergency, like that the illnesses caused in the emergency room to the staff were a case of mass hysteria.
Mm.
That stuff started to seem weird, and one person started to experience symptoms, so the next person did, and then vice versa. This was basically what was declared by the Department of Health and Human Services, and this was following... Actually, let me find the actual... Because this was following an interview of 34 emergency room staff members. So this was like after a study interview. So basically, 2 scientists interviewed all of the emergency room staff, and they actually found that women were the most susceptible to the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it was found that from the autopsy, it was found that there was no poison in Gloria's system.
Yeah.
No one in the ambulance on the way to the hospital had any symptoms. So, like, no one, her boyfriend, no one that dealt with her prior to the emergency room had any symptoms or effects. Like, nothing happened to any of them.
Weird.
It was only once she got to the emergency room. And so, the majority of cases of mass hysteria have like a environmental trigger. So if we look back at Oh my god, I was so drunk in that episode.
Mm.
Episode 2, when I talked about the deadly dancing plague of... Fuck, what?
Italy
what
or
was
something, wasn't
that
it?
city? No, it was border of France and Germany, because it kept bouncing between the two. Deadly dancing plague of Strasbourg. Strasbourg. I was off my face in that episode. Your fault, because you told me the story of Twizzler. That was episode 2. What a throwback. We talked about how the brain is a really fucking powerful thing. And all it takes is one trigger. And the trigger for them might have been like severe stress of whatever the fuck was going on at the time. So in this case, they speculated that this fruity garlic smell and the odor of the blood may have been the trigger that caused everyone to go into a mass hysteria.
Makes sense.
So, like, one person has gone, oh,
That smells
do you
a bit
smell
weird.
that, like, do you smell that weird fruity garlicky smell? And everyone else, now that the power of suggestion
you've said
has
it.
taken hold, has been like, oh, now that you've mentioned it, yeah, I do. And then drawing the blood, oh, this blood smells like cum.
That's kind of weird, guys.
Do you smell it?
Yeah, like, smell
Good.
this, and
Like-
then everyone's suddenly getting sick. Tasty.
So those two specific things may have been like a trigger for mass hysteria. However, both Maureen Welch and Julie Gorczynski have both openly, like, outwardly spoken out that they felt they've not been victims of mass hysteria. And Gorczynski actually filed a lawsuit because she suffered, like, we've discussed
she,
the
got
severe,
fucked
like,
over.
shit that she went through. That's not something that,
Your
like, I
brain
don't
can just
think
be
that
like,
your
"Oh."
brain just makes up
Your knees
a vascular
dissolving.
necrosis. Yeah, your brain, like, the brain is a powerful thing, and it can fucking do a number on you. I will give you that.
I don't think it's quite that.
I will 100% buy into the brain making you dance like a crazy person with no, like,
Rhyme or reason.
power over it. But I will not buy into the brain causing a vascular necrosis.
Yeah.
It's not just going to... Yeah. That's... No. So... Another theory is that the emergency... Like, the illnesses within the ER, along with Gloria's death, were caused by conditions of the hospital that were already present. And that it was basically a cover-up by the county. This theory in particular was put forward by the Ramirez family.
Okay.
So, in 1991, which was 3 years before Gloria died, there were 2 employees of the hospital who were forced... They basically had to receive medical treatment after a sterilizer leaked poisonous gas,
Jesus.
apparently. And then in 93, sewer gas was found in the
Ew.
emergency room in an inspection. I don't know how, I don't know why,
That's disgusting.
but it was. What disgusting. So yeah, they think it might be a cover-up. It's also worth noting that the So they went to all the effort of keeping the clothes, like the clothes of all of the staff that they thought might have been infected. They went in plastic bags and all of that shit.
Mm.
But the vial of blood that was taken that smelled of cum and had, like, manila-coloured particles floating around
weird
in it.
Shit in it.
That accidentally ended up in the with all the rest of the needles and disposed of.
Sketchy.
That was accidentally tossed out. Another factor is that one of the investigators from the coroner's office reportedly died of suicide a month into the investigation. Obviously there's no evidence to point to that being linked to a cover-up, but some people have speculated that that's somewhat suspicious. We don't know what was happening in that person's life and what could have led to that. Like, I get that, yeah, okay, maybe it could be suspicious, but it also could just be, hey, that's a human being that has their own fucking issues outside of this thing. And then there is So, apparently at this time there was this thing called DMSO, which is like an anti-inflammatory gel that apparently at the time this was the 90s, apparently at the time it was kind of treated as like a treat-all.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like how... Okay, I'm all for candles and aromatherapy, but like some people use it as the be-all end-all.
Yeah.
This will fix it. I am all for all of that shit, and I feel that has its place, but it also has its place next to actual medicine.
Mm.
So, you know how there's that graph where it's like lavender for this herb for a headache, this medication for this actual this actual symptom.
Yeah.
Like, where it gives you the herbal remedy for a small issue, like a headache, indigestion, whatever. Actual medicine for cancer, depression, blah, blah, like, combine the two. And that's, I love that mentality. I'm someone who, I have a sore throat, peppermint tea. I can't sleep, I'll try a chamomile tea before I resort to sleeping pills. Like, both have their place. This was basically just kind of like, the closest thing I could understand is that it's like tiger balm. It's basically just like an ointment.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So supposedly Gloria was using this as a treatment to her cancer. Like, she was low income, she didn't have insurance, she had started chemo, but it wasn't really, like, public knowledge, but, like... And my dad died of brain cancer, and I will be the first person to say he tried every fucking rumored,
remedy
treatment. Like, he did chemo, but he also tried all of the other...
alternate medicines.
He tried everything. All of them. He gave him a good hard go. So if she's in this case where she's late stage cervical cancer and she's desperate, she's not got the insurance for it, I can understand.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, everyone's saying try this DMSO stuff.
Fuck it, if it's gonna work.
However, her family her family reportedly have, like, claimed that she wasn't using DMSO. Anyway, so when the Livermore laboratory did their autopsy, they found an overload of a compound called dimethyl sulfone, which they believe came from using this anti-inflammatory gel DMSO, which apparently would also account for the garlicky smell and the oily sheen. I don't know why the smell would only be coming from her breath, though, if she used it on her skin.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
But DMSO is apparently one oxygen atom away from this compound, dimethyl sulfone, which was what was found in excess in her samples. And this can actually, an oversaturation of this particular chemical can result in white crystals being formed, which might explain the manila-coloured particles that were seen in her blood that night. Like, they may have been white and just appeared that way because of being extracted in the blood or something.
Yeah.
This chemical in itself is harmless. However, the scientists theorized that if this chemical broke down, perhaps due to being electrocuted by defibrillation, and then combined with her natural sulfate compounds that are within everyone, it may have then changed to dimethyl sulfate, which is a strong chemical that can cause damage to the heart, liver, and kidneys.
Uh-oh.
It can also cause paralysis, delirium, and convulsions. Two of those are no one suffered delirium, but people suffered paralysis and convulsions. So these are similar to those symptoms. That may be the cause of the odor, the sheen, the particles, and the conditions. However, the theory of the dimethyl sulfone becoming dimethyl sulfate would explain Gloria's kidney and heart failure leading to her death, but it wouldn't really be, like, excreted.
Yeah. How does it explain
So
everyone else?
It wouldn't explain... No. So nothing actually really explains
it.
Everything.
I mean, it is not.
We have things
figured
that,
nothing would be fucking explained.
No, but I came to you with, like, good theories.
No, I know. I'm just making a joke because you never give me resolved things. But no, it makes sense. I feel like parts...
That's the premise of
No, I
this.
know, but
Okay.
I feel like parts.
You know
of
what?
them
We're gonna
make
flip it.
sense.
We're gonna flip it one day, and you're gonna give me a mystery, and I'm gonna come to you with, like, a neatly tied true crime
Murder.
case with a bow, and you're still not gonna be happy.
I'm not ever happy, so
Exactly.
oh well.
But yeah, so that is the case of the toxic woman, Gloria Ramirez.
Kind of shitty for Gloria.
I don't have any...
And
I know.
everyone involved. But it's like Gloria, I feel like, is
yes.
like low-key blamed. Like, everyone's like, oh, this woman, she's a toxic woman. She came in, she fucking fucked up a bunch of people. And she's like, I just died, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, what do you want from me?
Literally.
I'm dead.
Plus, she had cervix cancer, which, like, sucks.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for not giving me a case wrapped in a bow once again.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Really appreciate it. But no, that one was interesting.
The next case that I have on my list is I've been reading about it like the past week, and I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to talk about this.
Oh, I'm
It's
intrigued.
a weird one. I feel like most of them that I cover are weird, but
That's what makes them interesting.
this one really has my cogs going.
Mm. I'm intrigued.
Anyway, it is 11:20. It's a school night. I have to catch a train at 6 a.m. tomorrow, so
Let's go, bitches.
where can people find us? Because I want to leave.
That's fair. Okay, so if you want to send us a digital, an electronic letter, you can.
A digital letter.
No, email us.
I love how your big stance is. It's electronic mail, but you keep saying electronic letter
Oh, shut
because
up.
I've
You know what? I hate you.
corrupted
You've
you
broken
enough
me.
that the letter has followed through. So you're very close. You almost said digital. Send us a digital letter.
No. At rfimhpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at RMIFH. What? RMI? I don't know where I went there. Or you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at RFIMH podcast. Or if you want to go that extra step.
Though, if this whole Elon Musk dumpster fire continues,
fuck,
Twitter
let's
may
just
not
be
exist
insane.
soon. So,
Who
like,
the fuck cares? But no one uses Twitter anyway.
which is fine because we've literally never used the Twitter. So.
I did a little bit in the beginning, but I don't use Twitter that much, so soz guys.
Yeah.
Or if you want to stalk us individually, you can find Jeremy at
Jeremy Gage.
or you can find me at Sir Kirsty Lee. We also have Facebook, YouTube, and a TikTok. Pretty much just wherever you want to fucking stalk us. You can type in Rent Free in My Head podcast or RFIMH podcast, and you'll probably find us. Jeremy's pretty consistent like that. But you know what, guys? Either
Yeah, I
way,
am.
thanks for letting us take up some space in your heads rent free because we're both broke as all hell, especially with this rental crisis happening in Queensland and just in general the world turning to shit. But you know what?
Everything is so expensive.
Literally there. I want to cry. Feel. Ugh. Alright. You know what? Bye, bitches. I want to go have a shower.